Okay, hey everyone, welcome to today. My name is Irene. I am the third generation owner of Italian Dressmaking School. So I'm really excited to be here today. This feels like pretty momentous. One of the most asked for things by you guys is video content, video courses, how to do what this amazing book shows you, but in video content. So this has been like in the making for a really long time. Lots of talking, lots of just life getting in the way. And so this is it's really huge. And I'm really excited to be here. Your Dress Design Made Easy set will come with a pattern maker and a book. Inside here there are a whole bunch of different lessons and courses and it's really exciting. All the video content, we will not go through anything that's in the book. So this will all be exclusive content. This is not a repetition of what's in your book, but a lot of the lessons will overlap and apply. Today's lesson is going to be super easy, super available, and what we're really going to do is just go over your pattern maker, a couple of key measurements, and how to get started building out your bodice block, front, back, and your sleeve. We will not be able to build out these courses without you, so let us know what you want to learn. We are here to hold your hand, because at the end of the day, what is most important to us is that we want to help you guys make clothes to fit size you. We're not about standard sizes here. We're not about mass production. We kind of want to be quick and easy, which is what this whole system's about and how it is different to traditional pattern making. It doesn't need to be laborious. It can be fun, but it doesn't have to be fast fashion vibes. So let's get started with our first lesson. The most important measurement that you need is your bust circumference measurement. And that is going to determine your key number. So you will take your bust circumference and you will divide it by 2. And that is the number that you will use on all scales of your pattern making ruler. Now, a little word around the bust circumference measurement. If you are creating a fitted dress or any kind of fitted garment, and you might be wearing a padded bra or increasing cleavage, you need to make sure that the underwear that you will be wearing on your final garment is the underwear that you are measuring yourself with, because that's going to make a key difference to your whole pattern. The bust circumference measurement we are going to do around the bust. Widest part of the bust, and that's good. It's just going to sit like that. So for me, that is 88 centimeters. And that means my key number is 44. And that is the key number that I will use on all the scales, which we'll get into now. On page, I think I mentioned this earlier, page 15, or in the show notes, we have a space for you to write your bust circumference as well as your key number. Then your waist circumference. Nifty little trick for you. If you're not sure where your waist is, tie a ribbon around your waist, fairly tight, and just kind of give a little wiggle, and your ribbon will kind of find your waist. That's your waist, that's what you want to measure. When you measure your front waist length and your back waist length, you will measure from the top of your shoulder over the bust and to that ribbon, okay, as well as on the back. Okay, so we have the front waist length, the back waist length, and then your hip circumference. So your hip circumference should be the widest part of your hip. So I'm just going to show that to you there, and that is 111. Okay, so let's get started with creating your basic bodice block. We are going to open up your pattern maker so that the word front is in the sort of upright reading position. Something to remember is that you want your lines to be perpendicular to one another. That's really easy because your pattern maker has a right angle at the top. And so you can use that to make sure that your lines are all at right angles to one another. Okay, so we're going to start off by marking 44 on the bust position. Of course, you will mark your own key number. So the bust position and then the neck point. So scale number 1, scale number 2, and your shoulder line, scale number 3, mark 44. You're going to move your pattern maker down, extend that line and draw across. This is your bust line, and this will be scale number 4, and you're going to mark number 40, well, in this case 44. So these are scale number 1, scale number 2, which is your neck point, scale number 3, which is your shoulder line, and number 4, which is your bust line. We are going to then connect 2 and 3, and we're going to use the armhole curve, which is scale number 5. On your bust line, you're going to find your key number, and then you're going to swing your pattern maker so that it meets point number 3. This is literally join the dots. Okay, there we go. And that is what your pattern should start looking like. We're going to draw in the neck curve, which doesn't have a scale number, but in the top corner of your neck curve, we're going to position that at the neck point, and we are going to rotate, swing your ruler to find your key number over there. Okay. So there we've got the top of your bodice. Now what these lines are. This first line, number 1, kind of runs down the center of your body. Lines 2 to 3 is your shoulder. This curve, 3 to 4, is your armhole curve along here. And number 2, here towards the center, is your neckline. I am going to use my front waist length, which is 46. Now, what you're usually going to have is, if you have a bust, your front waist length is going to be longer than your back waist length. If that is not the case, there will be adjustments in different lessons that allows you to deal with those changes in the standard, the sort of more standard pattern. Okay. We are going to draw your waistline. Okay, now this is your waistline. It will be 1/4 of your waist circumference. So mine is 17.25, so that's 1/4. And then 18 centimeters down from your waist is where your hip generally is. And this is really one of the only places where we use a sort of standard measurement. So you will draw a line here for your hip, and you can use your tape measure 110, 27.5. Okay. And then you are going to join your underarm to waist, and you're going to join your waist to hip. This is a very sharp angle. When you start changing and creating your actual pattern, you're going to start softening out these lines. So this looks quite extreme. I have a much wider hip than waist, and so for me it is, quite an extreme sort of angle. And so when I start drawing my pattern, I'll start softening all of this out, so that when you are sewing fabric, which is softer, and it's going to go around your body, you're not going to have these kind of sharp edges. Okay, so that is your front, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the back. Okay. So we are going to do the same thing. Draw your perpendicular lines. We're going to mark on your bust position, scale number 44, on the neck point, scale number 44, and on your shoulder line, scale number 44. We're going to join lines 2 to 3. We're going to mark on your bust line your key number for there. And then we're going to do your armhole curve. So you're going to position your key number on this point over here, and you're going to swing your pattern maker that way. So you will see that your front armhole and your back armhole are slightly different. Your front armhole is more scooped. There tends to be more shaping around here and more movement. Okay. My line is long enough there. I'm going to measure my back waist length, which is 45 centimeters. And for the back neck curve, we're going to drop 2 centimeters. You're going to freehand this neck curve line. Don't feel nervous about that. There we go. Make sure that you are meeting your center back with a right angle, because otherwise your pattern is going to come up with a funny little point in it. Okay, we're going to draw the back waist line. Okay, 17.25. I'm going to drop here 18 centimeters to your hip line. And 27.5. There we go. Okay. So here we're going to connect your waist and hip and your waist to your underarm. And then we're going to write on here front and back. And that really is your basic bodice block, front and back. This is kind of like your body just flattened out onto a piece of paper. And this is what's going to let you start getting ready to make all the adjustments and turn this into something fabulous made to fit size you. Last thing that we're going to do today before we wrap up is the sleeve. A couple of things around the sleeve is when you take your sleeve measurement, you want to make sure that you are measuring your sleeve length on a bended elbow. So you will find the top of where your sleeve would be, the top of your shoulder, and make sure that your arm is bent. You might need someone's help with this, but that allows for your sleeve not to end up being too short if you do bend your arms and then your sleeve rides up, because it just needs that extra bit of fabric to accommodate that bend. When drafting a sleeve, you are going to draft it on a folded piece of pattern making paper. So I've pre-cut quite a large piece here, but we are going to take your pattern maker, and with the folded edge on the right hand side, you're going to position your pattern maker folded with the word front facing upwards and your sleeve corner. So you're going to make a little mark there. And for the sleeve, the standard sleeve, you'll use scales number 7 and number 8. Number 9 and 10 are just for the tailoring sleeve, so you don't have to worry about that now. Okay, on scale number 7, we're going to mark my key number 44, and we are going to bring pattern maker down. And and on scale number 8, mark 44. Okay, so this is your sleeve corner, scale number 7 and scale number 8. Then you're going to open up your pattern maker and you're going to turn it around. It does say this side up, so it's just a little reminder that you do need to turn your pattern maker and you don't use the wrong curve. You're going to find your key number at the top there, and we're going to rotate your pattern maker like that. For the purposes of this, we're going to do a 45 centimeter sleeve. So I'm just going to do from the crown of your sleeve all the way down to 45 centimeters. Then you can use a soft tape measure like this to kind of measure what you would want your cuff to be. So for this garment, I'm going to do, 26 centimeters. So we're going to use half that measurement of 13 over here. And you're going to draw your line. And then you're going to join your sleeve to the cuff, the armhole curve to the cuff. Okay. One of the main adjustments that you are going to make on your sleeve is you are going to bring in the back sleeve slightly. And we do this mainly because the front of your sleeve is going to sit in a more scooped armhole, which means just because there's more body, there's more movement. The back sleeve, there is less of that, and so it doesn't need to be as curved. And we're going to come in by 2 centimeters. So I'm going to make a mark there. I'm going to turn it because I find it a bit easier. And you're going to freehand this curve. Again, this can feel a little bit scary, but just sort of follow the type of curve that you have. Okay. And that is your basic sleeve. Now, this is a template. This is not necessarily the sleeve that you are going to fit into a garment, because the adjustments that you make and the checks that you need to do will be part of lessons associated specifically around a garment. But the idea is that your sleeve should fit into your armhole, so you'll have to check the size of your armhole and the size of your sleeve. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to show you what one would do on a completed sleeve. So I'm going to cut along your front sleeve here. And I'm just going to cut this straight off. And I'm going to cut this. When you open it up, this is what your sleeve pattern starts looking like. And we are going to cut this away. So we are going to mark this as the back and this as your front. And we're going to cut along this curve here. We always mark the front and the back here, because once you've cut it, sometimes it's a bit difficult to see which one's which, especially on your fabric. So don't forget, when you are cutting your fabric, to make sure you are making note of what is the front and back of your sleeve once the pattern has been unpinned. And there we go. That is our sleeve. Thank you for joining us for this class today. If you would like, let us know in the comments what you would like to learn next. And I hope you all have a great day.